Calliope's Call, A Writer's Life, which is a resource for writers.
Okay. So, why did you decide you wanted to write on PNN?
Well, I've known Lauren for quite a number of years, and he's been talking. Lauren is the founder of PNN, and he's been talking about this site for a long time, and we worked together on the Eleanor Roosevelt book, which was a collection of his mother's stories. So I feel like I've always been part of PNN, from the very beginning. And then so I always knew that as soon as it was up and running, I would contribute in whatever way I could. And then he and I were talking, and I think we kind of co-created the idea of this site, and then started to get really excited about it. And I've been wanting to share my experience as a writer to help other writers for a long time. So this was PNN is an ideal place for me to do that.
Okay. So you give kind of a brief explanation on your site as to why you chose to name your site Calliope's Call. But can you explain it a little more in depth for us? It's just a really interesting title.
Well, Calliope... Calliope she's the muse of epic poetry, and she's appeared a lot in my dreams. And the name, actually, I was struggling for several weeks, at least a couple of weeks, to come up with a name, because I wanted something unique but not too obscure. And everything else was taken, and then it just popped into my head, and I didn't even know what exactly it meant. So I Googled it, and then I learned that it comes from, the phrase Calliope's Call comes from a Walt Whitman poem. And I thought, I wonder if I have it. So I went and pulled out my book, and I did have it. So probably when I was 20, 25 years ago, I read this poem, and I loved it, the phrase, and it stuck with me, and then it just popped out. So yeah, and so for me, my first novel was called Brigid's Charge. So I seem to be very interested in how the muses and the deities want to sort of boss us around, calls and charges, and that feeling of inspiration that we feel. And so that's really what the site's about, inspiration, hopefully inspiring other writers to stick with it, because it's not at all an easy path, but it's a wonderful path. So, and I think that writers can often feel isolated, because we're in our little hovels writing. And so we also tend to personalize things that aren't personal, like the industry, the publishing industry, rejection. We tend to personalize that a lot when it's often not personal. So I wanted to provide a forum for that, and also have that sort of the sense of a real calling too.
But could you share one of the dreams you had, or are they kind of personal?
Well, I could if I could think of some.
Okay.
I just know that she's just popped in.
Okay.
In various ways. I can't think of one right now, but if I do, I'll let you know.
Okay. So you've described Calliope's Call as a site where, kind of like a writer's resource site, where they can look for kind of support and information. And I know that you've interviewed people for your site too. So this is basically leading up to, what more do we expect in the upcoming weeks and months from your site?
Yeah, well, there's a written blog version, which is the sort of day-to-day of a writer's life, and it's more personal, more sort of nuts and bolts, kind of what's going on that day. And then the videos they're about 5-minute videos, and they are more broader topics, like dealing with fear in the writing process, perseverance. They're broad topics, while the written part is sort of more of the details. And then, so I'll continue to do that, and on various topics. And people can always leave me I have a page that says questions and comments. So I really am open to readers and viewers to shape the content by leaving their questions and their comments. And then I also interview other writers who, well-known writers like Ellen Bass, and there's a 2-part interview of her up there, and I've got others scheduled.
Oh, good.
That'll be coming on down the pike. So for them, I'm looking for both for myself to inspire myself and to ask questions that I've always wanted to ask questions of Ellen Bass. What's it like to get sued, and how did you survive that? And things that seem to be impossible to experience and thrive, and yet somehow she did. So that was something I've always wanted to ask her for 20 years. I wanted to ask her that question. And so I'm going to be choosing authors that way, questions I've always wanted to ask, and authors who have a lot of experience with various themes and topics that are kind of coming up on the site.
All right. So it's kind of a little closing question here. Is there any one piece of advice that you would give, say, a writer just starting to realize themselves as a writer, I guess?
But try to put thoughts of publication out of your mind. Focus on writing the best poem, story, novel that you can. And then worry about where it's going to get published. So many authors, and like I said, I did the same thing, and I didn't listen to this advice either. Sort of put the cart before the horse. They're worried about where it's going to get published, and then they have a lot of anxiety and stress, and really the most important thing is to connect with the work and really craft it. And so it's really helpful to take classes. I got to a point in the writing of Brigid's Charge where I felt that I knew what I wanted to do, and I felt that I lacked the skills to realize my vision. So I got an MFA, and that was really good for me. And you don't have to do that, but classes are really good place to meet other writers, come out of isolation, and also polish those skills.
So your PNN page is calliopiscall.pnn.com, and everyone should check it out.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Jamie.